Joining me on the line right now is NFL player agent Mook Williams. Among the roster of players that he has are Steve Beauharnais of the Patriots, J.T. Thomas of the Bears, Marcus Rivers of the Ravens, Miles Wade of the Raiders, Darian Weems of the Cowboys, Vince Agnew of the Chiefs, and Adrian Robinson of the Steelers. He also has some CFL players, and of course, I happened to be contacted one day by Mook Williams. He was talking to me about a player that he has, and anyway, that's how we got to know one another. But you know what, Mook, I'm glad I was able to meet you because I've known some player agents in the past. I got to know Lee Steinberg. I think it was around 2006 when he brought up Ricky Williams to play with the Argos. So I'm always curious, what is the life like of an NFL player agent?
Well, I'm sure the life is different from agent to agent, and I definitely want to thank you for having me on this morning, Perry. But it really depends how you do business. There's some guys that focus on recruiting 11 or 12 months out of the year, and they're traveling around like crazy, whether they're recruiting college guys or trying to recruit players that are represented by other agents. There are some agents that don't recruit at all and are more maybe focused on their secondary job or really their primary job and just kind of do it on the side. And as for me, I'm an attorney, I'm an agent, and I view myself as having two full-time jobs. So the days are very long, whether I am helping a legal client or an agent client. We do some recruiting in our firm. It's called Symmetry. And we do get out there and do some recruiting, but we also put our current clients first. So right now it's a very busy time of the year with everybody in preseason, and there are all these little issues that come up that the public never hears about, small injuries, issues with coaching staffs, a guy getting cut, of course we do have some other players that are not on teams right now that we're trying to fight to get into the league. So I like to say every day I can be surprised in a very positive or very negative way, and I don't know what's coming and when it's coming on a day-to-day basis, and that leads to a very exciting, busy, and full life, and I love it.
Yeah, okay, that's a very interesting point there, because you're talking about you get your player a contract, but it seems to me that's only the start, because what happens afterwards, you're talking about the player gets cut, a player gets injured, the player has problems with the coach, the general manager says he's not doing this, we've got problems with it. I would think that signing the player to the contract is only the start, and afterwards is, for lack of a better expression, forgive me for using it, it's almost like babysitting after that point.
Yeah, usually for us, for the guys we have, it's not, I wouldn't say it's babysitting, but it's, dealing with little issues. I mean, you recognize that, especially in the NFL, any small item can make a difference, either positively or negatively. You can be an undrafted rookie and playing a preseason game, and you can block a punt, and all of a sudden you're going from a guy that almost had no shot to make the roster, and now you just blocked the punt, everybody saw it, and now you're going to sneak in, and you are going to make the roster. So little things like that, turning a coach off behind the scenes, putting in extra work with a coach every day, showing up at 5 a.m. in the morning to watch film, which one of our players is doing right now, showing up at the facility extra early. Things like that can really make a huge swing in how a player can establish his career or kill his career, and we're right on top of that. So sometimes we need to coach our players up, the players that maybe aren't as on top or aren't sensing those little things as much, and we have other guys that don't require a lot of assistance, and they know what to do, and they have good instincts for that. So, but even those guys can be put in positions where they need help, and we always like to say that the team is really not your friend. We're your only ally in addition to your close friends and your family. When you get to the pros, your teammates aren't even your allies because they want to stay on the team, and if it comes down to you or them, they're going to choose themselves. So we try and be that ally and that advocate for them, and whatever it takes, we're willing to do. And each day truly can bring a new challenge and unexpected challenges, and you wouldn't believe what comes up sometimes. I mean, totally unpredictable stuff. It's certainly an interesting industry, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm talking right now to NFL player agent Mook Williams. He had been with the firm in 2009, a fairly large firm. He founded Symmetry in December in 2011. So what's it like having your own company?
Well, it's great, and I have some excellent partners as well. Brian McLaughlin is a co-agent of mine and the vice president of Symmetry, and we met when we were at National Sports Management, and we basically just tackle each day together, and all the issues that I've been mentioning, we kind of divide and conquer. So it's great being a partner of his and co-agent of his. And then we have some other partners who are more business people, investor types that kind of sit in the background, don't get involved with the day-to-day work. But I am a longtime friends with a few of them, and it's certainly great founding a company when you know everybody so well and you get together and can try and do it the right way. We like to think that we conduct business as an agency the right way, and that we don't pay players in college. We don't blatantly try and steal their clients from agents who are under contract with them, and we try and avoid anything that's shady, illegal, or breaks any kind of regulation. There are so many regulations out there that it's almost impossible to adhere to all of them, but we try our best, and we try and behave in an ethical manner, and that's often way more challenging than being unethical. I mean, it's actually pretty easy if you want to go out there and ignore all the rules and try and get players that way, but we try and stick to the straight and narrow, and it's a challenge, but in the end, we certainly have a lot of pride in how we do our business, and we hope that if we continue to grow and succeed, that we can influence the industry for the positive and maybe influence other agents out there to do it the way we do it.
Do you guys have what you would basically call your own playbook of this is like our ethics and our standards, the way we go about doing our business? So if you're talking to a client, you make a presentation to them that basically explains what you and Symmetry is all about.
Absolutely, and a lot of it comes in the first year, like especially when we're talking to a college prospect. We always tell them that we will have at least one of our agents present for any of your significant pre-draft events. So that would be, if you're going to sign with us, we'll be present at your last college bowl game with your team, with your collegiate team. We'll be present at your All-Star Bowl game, and as you know, there's plenty of those nowadays, and there are hundreds of players that get invited to these All-Star Bowl games, so at least one of us will be there. You get invited to the Combine, we'll both be there, and one of us will be there at your pro day as well. So we promise personal appearances, but unfortunately, a lot of the agents don't make those consistent appearances at those events. We also always do business in suits. He'll be in a suit at all those events, and that's just something we believe in, and looking as professional as possible, because if any of these players do go on to have long careers, they're going to be generating a significant amount of commission for us, and I think you kind of have to dress the part. And you also make a great impression upon all the NFL front office people and scouts who you're communicating with when you're at these events. So we always dress as well as we can, and we tell them we're also going to be as responsive as possible. When you call us or text us, we'll get back to you immediately. Unfortunately, that's an issue that many players have with their agents, especially after the draft occurs. It's very hard to get in touch with these guys, and we hear about it all the time because we often get players firing their current agent and coming over to us because they just can't get a hold of their guy. So that's kind of the foundation of how we do business, and we believe that it makes a difference in terms of the client service perspective, and that's basically what we are. We're not so much a bank, although some guys behave like it, and we certainly are happy to help front training costs and preparation costs for people that are just coming out of college. But our role is not as a bank or as a cheerleader. We are an advocate, and our service level is basically the product that we provide. So we have to always remember that we need to maintain a high level of service for our clients.
When we were talking, just emailing one another last couple of days, I asked you about the movie Jerry Maguire, and I've asked other people about this. What was your impression of the movie, and how close to reality did you find it?
I loved the movie. I thought it was great. It was a lot longer than I thought it would be when I first sat down to watch it, and there was a lot more in it, but I really did enjoy it. Back then when it came out, I was still in college, so I was not anywhere close to becoming an agent. But now that I'm an agent, I look back at it. There are definitely some realistic aspects to it. You witness the cutthroat nature of it. He's representing that quarterback in the draft, and he kind of loses him out to another agent. The situation where I think it's very realistic is when he writes that memo about ethical business practices to his large firm that he's a part of, and then all of a sudden he kind of sees that it's not going to happen for him at that firm. He decides to leave, and there's a mad scramble for all the clients. Something like that probably happens a few times a year in our industry. Not necessarily exactly in that way, but firms break up all the time, and all of a sudden it's a battle of who's gonna come with whom, and you get on the phone, and it's almost a race to try and get your story out first to all the clients. So all that stuff's realistic, although it doesn't ever portray the true grind of this business. There's not a lot of glory, and there's not a lot of high-profile stuff that goes on with us. I mean, sometimes we're at games, sometimes we're at the combine, or there are a few instances throughout the year where you're out there and people are seeing you. But for the most part, it's grind work, sitting in your office, sitting in your car, sitting in an airport, sitting in some hotel on the road. There's a lot of grind work, and that really doesn't make for a good movie. but there are definitely some aspects to Jerry Maguire which are accurate, I would say.
Now, just to capsule this conversation, you're working now as an NFL player agent. You talked about the grind, the glory, the personal relationships and all that. If somebody wanted to get into the business, and as you mentioned a few times, right, it's a very cutthroat business, why would you encourage someone to pursue this type of path?
I never encourage anybody to do it, but if somebody really has their mind set on it, I always give advice, and my advice would be make sure you go out and do something first. Get something else established in your life first, whether it's a law practice, a business. Because I think the education that you receive in either practicing law for a few years or starting up a business or being involved maybe as a former player in a league or maybe working for a team for a while or maybe working as a journalist for a while, you pick up these other skills and contacts and information and experience that you can then use and apply as an agent. I can tell you that I practiced law for 7 years before I became an agent, and that gave me some skills and some experience that a lot of the other agents just don't have. Just my legal background was similar to my agent background, and then I got thrown into the fire right away as an attorney, as a young attorney, and just got slammed with all kinds of different cases and problems and issues, and it caused me to learn very quickly. And pick up some skills and about thinking on my feet and being prepared for things. So I would say go out there, succeed in something else, at least maybe for about 5 years, then come around and make sure that you are truly prepared for this, because it is expensive, at least to be a football agent. It is an expensive endeavor in terms of applying to the NFLPA, taking an exam, paying for insurance, paying for the annual fees. Then if you need to register with each individual state, down here in the USA, there are various state rules that sometimes require agents to register with states, which cost additional fees. Then you haven't even gotten to the recruiting part of it. How are you going to generate business? So it's a challenge. It's much easier if you happen to have a lot of money to rely upon. At Symmetry, we're fortunate enough to have some business partners that assist in that, and of course we have a pretty decent client base that brings in revenue. But if you're going to be starting from scratch, you got to have some ability to have money to first get you licensed and set up, and then invest in your first draft class. And when you do get that draft class, you better be right on some of these players, because the worst thing that can happen is investing money in a player and not having that player pan out. It's better to not have a player at all. And, if you're going to waste 10 or 20 grand on guys that don't pan out, that can be truly devastating, especially in your first year. I lucked out because the big firm brought me on in the very beginning, and I was able to gain experience in a way where I did not have any risk or exposure myself. That does not happen too often. That's pretty rare. I mean, I can tell you, we wouldn't just bring on an unproven agent that just took a test into Symmetry. You'd have to really prove yourself in a bunch of different ways for us to take you on. So I was lucky in that way, but yeah, I would advise any aspiring agent to establish a foundation in something else first, get life experience, get some skills, make sure you have a source of financing, and then get into the industry. And you gotta love it. You can't do it just to make money. You can't do it with the idea that I'm going to bring in a lot of cash and pump up the bank account. You have to absolutely love what you're doing, because probably for the first couple of years you're not going to have a steady revenue stream anyway. You're going to have to rely on what you're already doing.